Hey guys, welcome to the first video on this account. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make the absolute best Madden 23 franchise. It's going to be exactly like Madden 24. So getting right into it, the very first thing you want to do is head over to share and manage files and go to the community files. You know, half the time these don't work, but right now they do. And you want to head over to roster. And I recommend if you're on Xbox Series S or X to download this one. I'll show you guys in a minute. PS4, PS5, and the old Xbox should have a file similar to this. That you want to go over to load and delete files too, and make sure you have it set as your roster. And you want to, I'll just show you guys right here. It's realistic. It has some rookies. It has the rookies from rounds 1 through 4. So you can see we got Keon White. We got Marte Mope, or whatever his name is. Christian Gonzalez. You know, all the rookies. But yeah, once you do that, you want to head into a franchise. So anyways, once you're in franchise, you want to click create new league and then go to active roster. Make sure you do that and not use NFL roster. So it's going to load your players up here, and half the time, you know, it takes 20 years because EA Sports don't know how to make a proper video game. But anyways, once you load in here, you're just going to want to pick a team. It doesn't matter, your choice, obviously. So I'm going to use Patriots as an example. It doesn't matter. I'll show you my league settings I do. All Madden simulation. I put pre-existing injury off because it's going off the injuries from last year. I keep practice injury on. Quarter length I make 11 minutes. What else do I do? Play cooldown I put to 3, and play call limit I put to 3. And I think that's it. I take tutorial pop-ups off, build roster off. I auto progress my talents just because I don't feel like doing that, but that's up to you. Yeah, that's all the settings I make, and then I make an owner. Doesn't matter for the owner, just pick something random, and then we're in. So first thing I'm going to show you guys is my sliders. I don't mess with the XP sliders, but I mess with mine. I put my QB accuracy all the way down at 30. I put my pass blocking down at about, I'd say, 25. Receiver catching, I don't mess with too much. I only put it at 38 because it gets to the point where it gets so unrealistic if you put it anything below that, where they drop, you know, 3-yard slants, little check downs, you know, all that. Run blocking, I really nerfed to 20 because, you know, you end up rushing for like 300 yards. I don't mess with fumbling. My defense, I mess with a little bit, but not really at all, because defense gets like impossible to play. I put interceptions down quite a bit and tackling down quite a bit. But if you put it much below that, I find that the CPU will just go for 500 yards every time. It just gets annoying. So that's also why I barely mess with the CPU's offensive stuff. I'm actually just not going to mess with it here because I change it depending on how like my games have been going. But usually they just stick at 50. But then for their defense, I find it way too easy to score. That's my biggest issue. I crank them all up to 100. And then I don't mess with any of these. So yeah, this is my sliders. This next one is completely optional, but it's something I like to do. If you're, you know, you have your rookies usually like up to round 4, depending on your roster. But like, I make sure I get all my rookies in there. I change a guy like Riley Webb, who is never going to see the field, probably going to get cut, and make them one of the rookies I actually want to make. So like the Mario Davis, the 6th round pick out of Liberty, I believe. The receiver, I'm going to make Riley Webb into him. You know, change all of this to whatever it is. and yeah, make it look like Mario Davis, and then you can, change everything how you want. Give him a contract that's the rookie contract with the length, and yeah, so that's optional, but that's something I like to do. This next part is probably the most tedious part of this whole process, but I find it necessary. You want to go through all 32 teams, and I mean, you can only do it for the team you're using, and you want to, fix the contracts if they're not right, and then go through and give the players you think that deserve a dev trait, like I think Christian Gonzalez does, like first round picks, high picks with a lot of potential, even Keon White, that deserve dev traits. You want to go and give them. And also, I noticed that if you don't give some players dev traits, teams will just cut them for whatever reason. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, I go through, and the guys that I think are deserving of dev traits, I will go through, like Tyree Wilson. I think he deserves a superstar. If you guys are actually interested, I can give you guys a spreadsheet of all the rookies I think are deserving of dev traits and think that need updated. But yeah, I go through and do that for every single team. That usually takes about an hour, give or take. So yeah, that's the most annoying part of this whole process, I'd say. I'd say the next thing you want to do, again, this is completely optional, but it's what I do, is you want to sim to the last week in preseason and manually cut your players, because the game is going to keep players that shouldn't. Also, for realism, I like to keep my long snapper, which the long snapper in this game is a tight end, always around like a 30 overall. And yeah, I always like to keep them. But the game, if you don't manually cut your players, are going to cut players you don't want cut. Like, let me try to find an example of the game wants you to cut. Special teamers like Chris Board, who is definitely going to make the roster. Matthew Slater, like the game would cut these players in real life, or by itself. Like Mari Mape, the third round pick. Patriots are obviously not going to cut him in real life, but the game wants to. So I just would go through here by yourself and make sure you get the players cut that you don't want on the roster, like JJ Taylor. Like, I don't think I got to show it. Just go through and cut the guys that you don't want on your team. I mean, that's about it for setting things up. I would say to keep your team-specific playbooks, unless in real life your team hired an offensive coordinator. Like, for example, Eric Bieniemy, if you're Washington, I would say use the Chiefs playbook, because that's probably close to what they're going to use in real life this year. But I keep team-specific playbooks or coordinator-specific playbooks. In the game, I use coach suggestions again, just to keep things realistic so you don't blow out the CPU. And in free agency, I wouldn't sign any rookies that somehow, leak through. If they didn't get like a contract or something, to, again, just keep things realistic. But, yeah, that's also optional. It's just what I do, personally. But, yeah, that's about it for setting up a franchise. It's not perfect, like, you're going to have to play last year's schedule again. Or you could sim to next year, but, you'd have to go through so much. It's not worth it. So, me, personally, I just play this year's schedule and have to deal with that. But, yeah, that's about it. So, yeah, thank you for watching the video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.